Would you all please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Murray?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mr. D'Adriano?
Here.
Mr. Rogan?
Here.
Mr. Griffin?
Here. Can I have an audit of the bills?
Just give me a minute. Make a motion that the town board approve abstract number 17 dated September 10th, 2014 in the amount of $56,516.86. So moved.
Second.
Have a roll call, please.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. D'Adriano?
Yes.
Mr. Rogan?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes. Mr. Rogan, are you ready?
I am ready, sir. Thank you.
Let's go.
Let's go. First item I have is the DeFrancisco property on 74 Canton Road. This is a property that was offered to the town. Mr. Williams, our town planner, went and did an assessment of that property and found that it could be suitable for MS4 stormwater work. And the owners have offered to donate that to the town at no cost. We have a resolution on this matter. Any further discussion on this?
No. The resolution is ready. All set.
Okay. Well, I have a resolution. I'm just going to read, since it's a short resolution, I'll read through it. It says, whereas Joseph and Phyllis DeFrancisco have offered to donate to the town of Patterson a certain parcel of vacant land known as 74 Canton Road, Patterson, New York, and identified as Town of Patterson Tax Map number 25.54-1-19, and whereas the town planner conducted a site inspection of the property on September 8th, 2014 to evaluate its condition and potential value to the town, and whereas by memorandum to the town board dated September 9th, 2014, a copy of which is annexed here too and hereby made a part hereof, the town planner found that the property could be suitable for use in the MS4 retrofit program. And whereas the town planner has recommended that the town accept the donation of property from Joseph and Phyllis DeFrancisco, and whereas the town board reviewed this proposal at its September 10th, 2014 meeting and wishes to accept the donation of the property from Joseph and Phyllis DeFrancisco for no consideration, subject to the town attorney's review of an updated title report confirming that there are no liens or encumbrances against the property, and the issuance of title insurance to the town relating thereto. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby accepts the donation of the property from Joseph and Phyllis DeFrancisco as recommended by the town planner and subject to the conditions set forth above. Be it further resolved that the town attorney is hereby authorized to order a title report of the property, obtain a title insurance policy covering the property, and prepare all documents necessary to transfer the property from Joseph and Phyllis DeFrancisco to the town of Patterson. And be it further resolved that the town board of the town of Patterson hereby authorizes the town supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to give effect to this resolution in form satisfactory to the town supervisor and town attorney.
So moved.
So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You read well.
Thank you. I've had 43 years of experience. Okay, we had the Mancini subdivision, which was something that was referred to us for a variance from the open overlay zone. The board may recall that Mr. Mancini wants to divide off a 5.1 acre lot. The open overlay zone requires the lots to be 2 acres. We had set a public hearing, but we did not make a motion to authorize Antoinette to do the public advertisement, so that advertisement has not been done. So in that regard, I'll move that with the Mancini subdivision public hearing that we authorize the town clerk to do the advertisements for that public hearing for the next meeting. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
And then all that I have for announcements would be the smoke detector, and the press release that was put out by the Bureau of Emergency Services. This relates to a advisory that was put out in coordination with the Putnam County Bureau of Emergency Services and Consumer Affairs, and it relates to a recall that affects the Kitty residential smoke alarms. There's 3 different models that it affects, but these are hardwired smoke detectors and carbon monoxide combination detectors. They would have a manufacturer date between October 22nd, 2013 and May 13th, 2014. More information can be obtained from their website, which is www.kidde.com. Thank you.
Okay. NICEAG critical facilities list. NICEAG is in the process of compiling a list throughout their entire service area of what they consider critical facilities. We're not entirely sure what their definition of critical facilities is, but they have a extensive multi-page list of places they consider, which when you look at it, it looks to me like it's pretty much everything in their service area that needs to be restored. Anyway, the town planner took a look at the list and he thought there was a number of critical facilities missing, town hall and a few other places. So he's updated the list. I would like everybody to take a look at it unless you have any problems with it. I would ask the town planner to submit this to NICEAG to correct what they have offered as critical facilities in Patterson.
Is there critical facilities, the list on the back of the memo? Is that their list? Or does it go beyond that?
That's actually Richie's list.
No, this one is
The
Rich's list.
short list. The short list is,
The short list which starts Putnam Lake Fire Department,
Yes.
Verizon Communications. Is that their existing list?
Short list is the existing NICEAG critical facilities list.
Right, so-
Based on their definition of critical facilities, I gave
Right.
you the second page.
What I was puzzled about was why they have Watchtower. I mean, are all of the local churches and houses of worship going to
They
go
have-
on a critical?
They have Peterson's Nursery.
Yeah.
I don't know, which is why I called NICEAG and said,
Right.
give me your definition. What qualifies to be on the list?
Are they thinking of places that people can gather after an emergency?
Well, part of the issue is that NICEAG has on their website a page where you can go and register your business as a critical facility. And once you've registered your business, they are not very discerning about confirming whether it really is, meets their critical facilities definition.
Do you know if they listed Cornwall Meadows, because I live there?
The only two
I mean, for
projects,
critical people, is that,
they listed 2 multifamily projects.
Excuse me?
They listed 2 multifamily projects. One is on the list. The other, actually, they listed in the town of Southeast, which is one of the other changes I have for them. But no, they did not list, I believe, Cornwall Meadows.
yeah, they did.
Oh, they did list Cornwall Meadows.
That's what I'm asking you. Is
Okay.
it because I live there?
Pretty much.
Absolutely, because we need to get you out in a crisis and make
Oh,
sure
thank
that
you
you.
very
It's like the Secret Service. A baby crawls out, people come running, grab the baby off the lawn. Moving right along.
yeah, so I would just ask the town planner to continue to work with NICEAG and update that whole thing. We received
Well, we
it.
could, excuse me, Mike, but we could tell Rich, go ahead and send it in.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Right, okay.
I would just go ahead and,
Good work.
I'll wait a week or so if anybody has anything to add on there.
looks pretty complete to me, unless we find out that their definition, the definition, based on, if you look at what they provided to us, it's,
Pretty weak.
well, it's page after page after page after page of facilities that are executive offices, general medical, supplies, legislative bodies. It makes no sense to me what they consider critical facilities. I would think it would be things like Putnam Ridge, Clover Lake, the fire departments, but, for our sake, most of Patterson's critical facilities, town hall, court, highway, rec, all our buildings are backed up. So if there is a major, storm event and power's going to be out for any extended period of time, every facility in the town can continue to operate if the building survives the event. If you all recall, we put in a new generator for town hall that will operate everything, including the elevator. So every facility is capable of carrying on afterwards, should, like I said, the building survive the event. So I'm not sure what they're doing, but we should continue to work to figure that out. MS4, Town Planner's memo. I want to thank Mr. Williams for finally providing us with a memo of all his MS4 activities, and I'm sure it took him a while to put this all together because there's 200 plus hours of time dedicated on east of Hudson. There's 232 hours for the Patterson MS4 program. I mean, it's a fairly extensive memo. At some point, I want to go through all of this with Rich, and we'll determine, work with Trish to find out what rate of compensation would be appropriate, and then we'll try and see if we can, how much of this we can backbill to the EOH to get for the town. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to add one item to my agenda, a request from the town clerk's office for a new postage meter. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Antoinette has requested, I guess the lease for the old postage meter is up, and she has done some research and determined that Neo Post would be the best machine for her to have and most cost effective, and it's $184.15 a month for 60 months. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the town clerk's request for a Neo Post IN600 AF mailing system for a 60-month lease at $184.15 per month, and also authorize the supervisor to execute any and all documents necessary to accomplish that task. So moved.
Second.
Well, that's the total amount, so. Well, it's a lease. You could buy it for that, or you could lease it for that.
Okay.
So the recommendation is to lease it. And then we give it back after 60 months because they'll have a new and improved version by then that may do all of that stuff all entirely on its own. All right, and I'll defer.
Let's approve it.
Oh,
Sorry, I got you off track.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? See Anthony. Executive session, I'll defer my executive session personnel to the end of the meeting. And Mr. Burns.
All right, first item on my agenda is the NYSEG easement. As you may recall, we we had agreed to have solar panels put onto the recycling center landfill closure, and in order to do that, NYSEG has to make some modifications, and that's required an easement. We have from the town attorney a resolution granting the easement. I believe it's over the highway property. So I'll just make a motion to approve the resolution approving the new NYSEG easement for the solar electric generating facility as read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just a quick question, Mr. LaRoy. Did we ever resolve the issue about them wanting to extend their rights outside of the easement area that Don was working on with them?
You know, Rich, I don't know. When I left the office, we were prepared to grant the easement, so I'm assuming that yes.
Okay,
but-
as of 3, just so everybody knows, as of 3 o'clock today, my conversations with Don Rossi were that NYSEG was requiring an easement for the defined area that they showed on the plans, but they also wanted to have the right to be able to extend any sort of utility conduits or guy wires outside of that easement anywhere on the property at their discretion. And
Are they
we don't
talking-
know how that would affect the highway operations.
Are they talking like overhead cables, in other words?
Whatever they considered guy wires and/or utility extensions. So, and Don was going back with them saying, you know, this isn't any good.
All right, so do you want to table this then?
Well, I don't want to table it, but maybe you could just revise the motion to reflect that subject to further negotiations and approval by the town attorney.
All right, I'll adopt that language. You get that, Antoinette? Subject. I'm taking the easy way out. So subject to the suggestion of the town planner, we'll do it subject to further negotiations between our council and NYSEG regarding, I guess, the placement of guide wires and/or electrical service wires outside of that easement.
Do you want to just say, subject to review and approval by the town attorney? Just leave
Sure.
it at that.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next item is conference requests. We have 4 conference requests.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I make a motion to approve the 4 conference requests as submitted. So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion?
Did we get a conference? Oh, okay, so we have
Tammy,
Tammy Smith,
Brian,
2 from
Sue.
Sue.
Right.
And 1 from Brian
Right.
Burdick. Now, there's a discussion about Carrie wanted to go as well. She did not submit a request. So,
I thought Brian had submitted, I thought the email said Brian had submitted, had filled out for her as much as he could.
well,
Not
for
acceptable.
himself.
I'm looking at this as Holiday Inn Express is one, was $160 for, now I don't know if there's some sort of special super duper conference rate, but it just says 1 day at Days Inn, $160. Now, either that's a very expensive one-night stay, or there's 2 rooms involved. And I assume they're riding together because there's $168 in mileage.
Yeah.
So, total requested for $398.
So is she or isn't she going?
Well, she asked to go. I'm just wondering if this is 2 rooms, 1 night.
Because the email...
Because sometimes the rooms are discounted for the conference.
Well, the email from her said that they didn't want to stay at the Otesaga Resort where it's being held because it was $400 a night.
Yeah.
So I think the Holiday Inn Express is in Cooperstown, just outside of Cooperstown, because we've been up there.
Okay.
160 sounds about right for that.
Per room.
I think so.
All right, well then, she'll have to submit a separate request
Right.
at a different time. All right, motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next item on my agenda is we have an application from the Justice Court. They have made they'd like to put in an application with the Office of Court Administration for a grant in the amount of $10,850.84. There's an itemization of how they would use that grant if it comes through. So I would make a motion to approve the Justice Court submitting this grant and authorize the supervisor to sign. I believe you need to sign the grant application and any accompanying documents. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And I have a motion to add 1 item to my agenda,
Go ahead.
a budget transfer.
So, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, I have a budget transfer request 31, seeks to transfer $3,000 between fund balance designated capital projects to sewer capital and equipment. I'll make a motion to approve a budget transfer request 31 is submitted. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
That is all I have. Thank you.
Peter?
First item on the agenda, I have recreation requests. I have a request from Matt Shabaro for softballs from Anaconda Sports, not to exceed $127.20. I'd like to make a motion to approve that, so move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Another requisition from Matt Chabaro for T-shirts and sweatshirts to be ordered from Steve DiNucci, not to exceed $332. I'd like to make a motion to approve that, so move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I think we have 2 more recreation things to discuss here.
I also have some more requisitions.
Oh, okay, well, when you're done with that, then we'll kind of go into some of this
Yeah.
other stuff.
Okay. I have another requisition from Matt Shabaro for Steve DiNucci for T-shirts not to exceed $484. I'd like to make a motion, so moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And then I'd like to make a motion to approve the order of flag football jerseys from TBA shirts not to exceed $3,597. So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, I guess we wanted to discuss the two other, one was the staff appointments, is that what you want to discuss?
Well,
or the-
go ahead and make a motion on that, and then I wanted to talk about the wine and chocolate thing, and I also want to talk about the Getty Images issue, because I think we should just authorize payment for that and be done with it, but go ahead and why don't you finish up what's...
I have a memo from Matt Chabarro requesting to hire 4 junior staff members at the rate of $7.50 per hour. We have to replace some fantastic employees who have recently moved on to college. Each applicant comes highly recommended and has some experience working with children in various settings. 2 have served time on our junior rec board as well. It is necessary to hire the additional junior staff members at this time to continue to offer quality programs at the recreation center in a safe and effective manner. I'm also requesting to hire 2 senior staff members for the recreation department at the rate of $10 per hour. 2 candidates have experience working and coaching in local school districts and will help fill the void created when Marcus Chiesa was accepted into SUNY Polytech Institute. All paperwork will be completed and given to Sue Brown before new employees start. Thank you very much for your continued support. So the 2, I'd like to make a motion to hire 2 senior staff positions pending background checks, approvals. John Sullivan and Bobby Rodriguez, and 4 junior staff positions, Edson Brennan Melchiori, Jason Van Schachten, and Megan Flores and Elijah McLemore. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I would like to make mention that one of these 6 is my grandchild. I'm not going to tell you which one, and I'll vote for it too.
Okay, moving on to the memo, another memo we have here from Matt Chabarro. Hello, I've been contacted by Rand Otten from Putnam ARC. She would like to hold an event here. See information below. Matt, do you want to come up and just explain what that is?
Sure.
Is this the wine and chocolate?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Matt.
Basically, I was approached by
that-
Rand,
That,
hear me? Rand Otten from the
Yeah.
Putnam ARC, and she's interested in hosting the 2nd annual Hudson Valley Wine and Chocolate Fest at the Patterson Recreation Center. I thought about it, and I figured let me pass it along to you guys because this festival includes the sale of wine and the sampling of wine. So I felt that's not my position to say, yeah, let's do this without getting permission, speaking to legal first. Basically, Park puts on this fundraiser where they have sponsors and they have vendors, agricultural vendors who sell wine and other vendors who sell chocolate, and they raise money to support people with disabilities. And it's a kind of a long event, meaning they have to set up the evening before. They're going to use the entire facility on a Sunday and then clean up and pick up their stuff on the following Monday. So it's going to tie my building up for a weekend, which I would not be able to have certain events. I would have to cancel flag football, cancel some Pilates and circuit training classes on Monday morning. But I'd be willing to do it as long as everyone felt it was a good idea. It passed all the legal tests. And just basically, I'd be in favor as long as we would be charging a rental fee. I'm not in favor of waiving any rental fees because it's going to take a lot of the facility. It's going to make me cancel stuff, and it's going to probably require a nice cleaning afterwards. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
have you discussed with Park the fact that you don't want to waive the fee?
I've only had one conversation with Miss Rand Otten, and I told her what the rates would be and what I would like to charge. She said, fine. Then I received an email thereafter where she said, if legal did approve this, then let's talk to the town board about waiving the fees, and that I am not in favor of. But I have not spoken to her since, because again, I wanted your opinion.
Now, the event is in November?
No, the event would be held in February.
Oh, February.
She's planning on something between Super Bowl and Valentine's Day. Kind of goes with the wine and chocolate type of idea, I guess. I think it's February 8th, whatever that Sunday would be.
Guess I missed. I was reading about something else. Well, maybe a phone call back to her, because the fees might be a deal breaker.
Okay.
And if that's the case, and otherwise we have, plenty of time. I don't, if the board wants to weigh in here on waiving the fees or not waiving the fees, then,
Well, I had sent an email favoring not waiving the fees. I believe that after this event is going to, we're going to be involved with an extra cleanup of both the main gymnasium and the room by the kitchen. Now, if my colleagues here don't want to waive the entire fee of $1,200, well, maybe we can come to, $500 or something. I'm just sure we're gonna have to bring in the cleaning crew to really do the floors. I mean, it's gonna be a big event. Beverages are gonna be served, food's gonna be served. That's just my take. I'm in favor of it. It passed all the legal hurdles. It's a fundraiser for obviously a worthy cause, but I think we have to be cognizant that's going to cost us some money. But
This is the second annual. Do you know where it was held last year?
Mayapack Golf Course. I think that's the one on Hill Street in Mayapack.
Is this something that they're looking for a permanent home, or they're just floating around to different locations? Or?
From what she has told me, she did like the facility last year at the golf course, but it's not big enough. Our facility, which she came and looked at, she said she loves the fact that there's a lot of parking, there's a lot of room, and it's close to Metro North, so she thinks it could be a huge attraction. But she hasn't stated whether or not she wanted to make it a home or just for this year. That I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with Charlie in that since we're disrupting so many other activities, that we're using, it's taking the rec center away for 3 days, that I think we certainly should get some fee, whether it's a reduced fee or otherwise. But
And I believe we will have to staff it, i.e. like a karate event where we have our own staff in the building just in case, because there's going to be a lot of people there.
right.
We will incur costs there also.
Do you have any idea how much that would cost, or like total if you staff, and then if stuff you have to cancel that you're not getting fees from? Do you have any idea?
The staffing I don't have any costs associated with yet, but if they're suggesting last year's event brought in around 650 people, I think we would need ample staff. As far as the events being canceled, it would be a pizza night on a Saturday night. Flag football would have to be canceled for the day. It's not going to affect the bottom line, just going to extend the season an extra week. The classes on Monday morning I'd have to talk to the instructor and to the people and let them know they wouldn't be able to use the facility because we had a special event there and they wouldn't be cleaned up in time.
Is the fee would be $1,200? Is that?
The way I look at it, it's approximately $200 per hour. 3/3 of the gym, or the full gym, is $110 an hour for an organizational rate. The two back rooms, the arcade and the rec room, are $50 and $40 an hour apiece, so $90, so $200 an hour. Last year's event, they advertised it from 11 to 6, so actually for a 7-hour event, it'd be $1,400. That doesn't include any of the before time or after time. That's just for the event, and I thought that would be a fair way to look at that pricing, because it is saving them. You're talking over $3,000 what it would cost them to rent those 3 pieces of the property over there for the entire time from Saturday until Monday.
Well, if that's the way you've calculated and we're giving them a reasonable
We already are giving
fee, then I think we don't waive. I think $1,200 would be, we should be able to go back and have her tell him $1,200 is what we think would be fair, here's why. Hearing that, I think then we should just say $1,200 is the fee.
I think they're already getting a break.
Yeah.
It would be a considerable discount, considering you guys would be
Did you
okay
lose
with
it?
that. But again,
Can you come up front? I'm sorry.
There's
a battery guy there on that.
okay.
Richie went to get another battery. He'll be right back.
So it did pass all legal tests, or we didn't look
They have
today?
requirements, legal has requirements that they would have to meet.
For insurance.
For insurance purposes, getting their permit from the Department of Agriculture, because they fall under like a farmer's market type of setting as opposed to the state liquor authority. They would have to get all that stuff, which they have gotten in the past for their previous
And it's sampling wine, not selling glasses of wine. It's selling bottles, I'm assuming, or sampling like wine tasting.
It's both.
It is.
Vendors will sell and there will be sampling.
They're selling bottles, right?
Selling bottles, yes, but there will be sampling.
Okay. They're not selling glasses of wine there.
No.
Right,
No, it would be bottles of wine from local vendors and it would be sampling, but,
I think it's a good cause. I think we should, I don't have a problem in having it, but I think we should, I don't think we should waive a fee, and I think 1,200's a fair fee. I don't know if anyone wants to go lower.
I'm fine with 1,200.
Matt, can I just ask, do you know the capacities of all the rooms that they're looking to use?
yeah, our gym capacity is 800 and the rec room, which is the room with the kitchen, is 150. The arcade, I'm not positive. I believe the arcade is 80 or 90, but I can look on the posted sign in the building.
So, hoping that this event is a huge success, but that not all the people would be there at the same time, we would feel comfortable that they're not looking to create a situation that we'd be exceeding fire capacity.
You're correct in that matter, yes.
And is there any need, based on other big events that you've seen held at the rec center, that we would need either traffic control support or whether it's for vehicle parking or pedestrian traffic or any issue like that you would see from a public safety standpoint?
We have had karate events holding 300 to 500 people, and either my staff or someone that the outside vendor hires helps out with that, because we do have people that live behind us and across from us, and we don't want parking to get out of control. That's the biggest issue, is parking where they're supposed to and not on people's property. So that would have to be looked at. I mean, like I said, we've handled it before, and also they've had outside people handle it. So there definitely needs to be something put in place.
That would be my biggest concern, in addition to the fees that we talked about. Would be more important, that would be public safety. If we have 800 or 1,000 people show up to this, hopefully some of those will be through the rail system, but I don't see that the parking could be a nightmare out there with, like you said, parking along South Street and along where they're not supposed to be parking. And so I just wanted to...
Well, what we've done in the past is for major events, we've also sought permission from the school to use their parking lots.
Yep.
I suspect that for an event like this, the sheriff's department would be involved, and they'd probably bring the cadet corps over to help handle some of the traffic control. So I think that we've got plenty of lead time if we do agree to do this. February gives us pretty substantial amount of time to plan it, but I think you ought to start with just making a phone call back to her and finding out if $1,200 is a no-go or not for them.
Okay, I will do that, and then at that point, if she agrees, I will inform the board, and then she would have to go ahead and apply for the permit for the agricultural license. So
Yeah, and then
And there's a
make sure
permit
you...
from the town clerk.
Yeah,
It's an insurance
and
requirement.
make sure that, we get an insurance certificate and you guys are satisfied with all of that.
I have
Because I would
requirements from
assume
Don,
Okay.
the 4 different things he would need, and they would have to take care of all that, otherwise it's a no-go for the event.
Okay.
So one other thing, Matt, this is a belated thank you to you and your staff for Community Day. You guys did a very, very outstanding job. I thought, despite the weather imposing on a couple of things, it was a good day, and I think your staff did great. You did great, and I know my buddies here appreciate it as well as I do.
Thank you. We had a great time. It's a fun event for everybody, and the only thing I really am sad about is the fact that we didn't have the dunk tank, because I heard Mr. Griffin was going to be Dunk the Hunk that day, so
Nice.
maybe next year.
Dunk the chunk. I don't know about the hog.
Thank
Do you
you.
want to keep Matt up for the next, that other issue with the...
Oh, yeah, this Getty image thing, just for the general public. Apparently, we used a photo that somebody had copyrighted unbeknownst to us, and we were contacted by a company called Getty Images to say, hey, take the picture, either pay for it, buy it, or whatever. It was immediately taken down. We no longer use the photo. However, they have been pretty relentless in the fact that they want $450.
I believe it's $445
Something to,
as a fee because we've used it.
So, being that we took it down and said, okay, maybe they'll go away, but apparently they're not going away. Based on what our town attorney charges, I would suggest that we just send them a check for 400 and
Wow.
whatever.
Look, we did the research. They
2
we have
hours.
liability.
And-
Two hours of the attorney's time, and then if they don't back off the price,
But-
now we're in the hole for $600 or $700.
But do we know that they have the right to that photo? Because I read your memo and it said that on other cases you've read that they've dropped it where they didn't have the right.
Well,
Can they
they've
prove?
changed- They've changed their work. They're still within the rubric of the law, right? I saw the case where they claimed ownership and then it was determined that they actually didn't have ownership.
Right.
And so now the representation in the letter is that they have the rights to enforce and collect, and that's within the language of the case as far as liability or our liability to pay. So you know, it's one of those things where it's just at the amount of money, it's nuisance. It's a,
Have they demonstrated though that they do own the rights to that photo?
well, this is what I was just saying before, is that how much time do we go back and forth in determining what those rights are? I get the point.
Yeah.
The point is you know,
Are we being extorted from, or
Yes,
is this
we are.
legitimate? Well, I don't disagree with you, but it's just like an insurance company settling a claim. You sit there and you weigh it out and go, okay, well, you pay the lawyer $600 to determine whether we owe them or we don't owe them. You know, which way are we better off?
Yeah.
I don't know. What? I just want to settle this tonight. So, what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
Well, you know my feeling on attorney fees, not, taking exception to my two friends here, but, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, as much as I hate to, I know this happens a lot. These companies try to make money off this, doing this stuff, but, by the time we fight it, it's going to be a lot more than we would have to pay, so.
We could always send them half and see if they bill us for the rest, and do it in drips and drabs. I mean, it's up to
I'd
you
make
guys.
a motion on that to send them half.
All right.
Because I don't like the idea of settling on principle with the idea that I'd rather spend $445 not paying them if we're,
But I
than
guess-
$445, because I think it puts a perception out there that, if you want to make some money, go to.
right.
But my
the
question is,
frivolous things.
we've done the research, we know what our options are. What if we do nothing and wait and see if they file a lawsuit? What does that cost?
Nothing from today, right?
What does that cost us?
If they file the lawsuit.
In other
then
words,
lose our
if they file the lawsuit, then we'll pay them.
And worst case scenario, do we owe them legal fees?
Well, if they have to
Theirs.
sue us, and they have to get a judgment. They'd have to have
Yeah.
a court
Right.
direct legal fees be paid.
Right.
So at
All
that
right,
point,
so you just want to ignore it?
I mean, if we're questioning whether we really.
Well, we don't know for a fact they own the rights to the photo.
Right,
I
so
mean,
if you write to them and you say, prove that you have the rights to the
This is-
photo, and they've proved that, then yes, I'd say pay it. But if I don't know that they have the rights to that photo, then I feel my position would be do nothing until they either file suit or prove that they have the rights to that photo.
All
But
right, that's fine. We'll take no action then, for the time being.
What is it a picture of?
Just a kid, that erect
It was a picture of a child doing a somersault that we use for our tumble time flyer. And we get most of our pictures off of the web. Didn't see anything stating anything wrong, so we used it. And
If they had rights to it, would you have a copyright on it?
there should be, but
It should state
yeah,
that
but
on
there wasn't.
Right, property
There
or
wasn't that we
copyright,
saw.
that's enough.
yeah.
So should we just ignore it, or should we send a letter from the town boards asking for
Just,
proof?
I like Kevin's idea. We'll just see where it goes. They want to get a judgment against us, then we'll worry about it then.
to answer the question from the back of the room, many times the websites that use the photos don't have the right to use it, so they don't put the copyright part on it, and that's part of what's indicated in the cases, is that the ultimate user is the one who's responsible. So that's how that happens, just so you
All
guys
right,
know.
so we'll take no action at this point in time and see if they file a judgment and can prove a copy.
Okay, if I hear anything
Infringement.
further, any contact to me, I will let you all
Okay.
know. Thank
Matt,
you.
if you need any additional photos, though, in the future, Charlie's got grandchildren. Just call him, get him to do tumble,
Yeah, Hannah does tumbling. She'll do that.
Sounds good, thanks.
Okay, next item on my agenda is the Putnam Lake bulk pickup for garbage district number 1, only residents curbside bulk pickup, rain or shine, Saturday, October 25th. All items must be placed at curbside no later than Friday evening, October 24th, and no earlier than October 13th. The following items will not be accepted for curbside pickup: construction material, driveway sealer and roofing cement pails, oil tanks and propane tanks, hazardous materials, oil-based paint cans, yard waste, and no regular household garbage. There's a number of items that require special permits. I believe that we have this on our website. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to see what you need a permit for, you can get it on your website. On the website.
And copies in the town clerk's office.
Yes. Okay, next item on my agenda is the invasive bamboo local law discussion. We had a resident last meeting come and give us her, tell us her case about how the bamboo's encroaching into her property, and we have I guess some local ordinance drawn up already, and we want some discussion on it. I also talked to our county legislator, Ginny Nassarino, today. She told me that the county has been discussing this for many months, looking at, I guess they identified it's a problem around the county, and they're just deciding what they could do about it. They've actually found that the state there's some legislation pending in the state, and they're just kind of sitting back and waiting to see where that goes and what the state does. But I think the state legislation really addresses the selling of bamboo for like nurseries. So I think it's really more on us to regulate, growing it and that sort of thing. So I think before we go any further, Charlie, do you have something?
I was just going to say, I see we got a revised copy. I was just wondering what changed from the previous copy that we had received. If anything significant, or was it just minor?
Nothing really significant. The latest copy that you have was one that was reviewed by the town attorney, Don, and made some changes to it. Probably the biggest changes in there is to put a third definition in there defining, the area that the bamboo needs to stay out of. That was probably the biggest change, but there were editorial changes throughout. So this is just a cleaner version that's been vetted by the town attorney.
So then our next step is to
Read
schedule. Read it, okay. Then we'll schedule a public hearing. All right.
Unless you want to pass it before so you can find out what's in it. I mean, it's up to you.
I know Congress does that. We don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think it's something we should rush into. I know it's a problem, but we should look into it.
Right. I think everybody should take the time to review it. I know that there was a question that was raised about responsibility of homeowner versus renter, and a few other things. So, I think it's appropriate we all spend a couple of weeks looking at this, and if in 2 weeks we think we're ready to go, then we'll schedule it for a public hearing.
That's a good idea.
Rich, that was Mamaronek's law, or which law?
Yes.
Mamaroneck?
Village of
Village Mamaroneck.
The page that you have,
Was started.
Mamaroneck.
Okay.
But they borrowed it from Long Island. There were 4 or 5 towns out there that all adopted similar versions.
Rich, could you
Thanks.
look into the places that have adopted this legislation, what their successes or difficulties have been in enforcing that legislation? Because I'm hesitant to adopt a rule when without having knowledge of people that have gone through this and what the stumbling blocks have been. Code enforcement officer goes out to a property, cites a homeowner with this invasive bamboo. What then? I just want to make sure the board has a clear understanding of not only what is occurring right now with these towns, but what we can expect to happen.
I certainly can reach out to the towns and talk to them. I would suspect it's the same litany of issues we have with any enforcement, that we pursue, that, trying to get it through the court, trying to get the homeowners to compliance. We have one off of Tammany Hall Road now that's been going on since 2010, so. But I'll reach out to them.
Well, and of
I'll
course,
get
the
back to you.
difficulty with this law is the actual removal is so difficult, which is part and parcel of why we're looking at this legislation.
Sure.
So, okay.
Based on Sean's comment, Rich, I can give you the name later of the village manager in Mamaroneck.
Okay.
So you know who to,
Sure.
because he shepherded this thing through down there, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can't wait to tell Bud he's gonna be the bamboo code enforcement officer.
That's all I have.
Okay, Charles.
Moving right along. Next, we have a resolution accepting Red Hawk Fire and Security Inspection and Service Agreement. Red Hawk Fire and Security have submitted a proposal to provide certain fire alarm testing, inspections, and cleaning services for various town facilities. In quick conversation with the supervisor before the start of the meeting, from my colleague's point here, is that I'm going to introduce this resolution only for the town of Patterson wastewater treatment plant. The other locations, the supervisor and his crack staff have some concerns about some redundancy that we have done by other providers. So I will make a motion that the town board accept the resolution, or accept the proposal from Red Hawk Fire and Security for inspection and fire alarm testing, cleaning services for the town of Patterson wastewater treatment plant in a resolution before us as read. So moved.
So the other buildings already get services that are similar?
Well, there's a couple of things going on. One of the things, FSI own the fire panels and the software that's proprietary. FSI sold the software scenario to Red Hawk. We talked to Red Hawk about, we just had a problem with this building. This building's 12 years old. We had to invest some money a couple weeks ago. If you remember, we approved the replacing the fire panel and parts thereof. They wanted $1,400 a year for the courthouse, which is brand new. They wanted $1,100, I think, for this building. Pretty much the same thing for the rec center. And I honestly, I thought the dollars were a little steep. So I want to talk to them a little bit more and get a better idea. We do use Nikon to come in once a year and clean all of the sensors in the buildings. Blow them out and make sure that the smoke and CO detectors are working. So, I think we just need to spend a little more time sorting this out. When we really took a hard look at the prices and the total proposal, I just thought the dollars were a little steep, especially for, like the courthouse. It's brand new. You send somebody in to clean the detectors, but why have a service contract on a panel that's 2 years old? And if you read the proposal, labor, parts, and everything else isn't included. So you sit there and go, well, so what are we getting? The deluxe plan, it includes nothing?
Yeah, just insurance.
Yeah, so I think I want to spend a little more time with it and talk to the attorneys about it before we go forward with any of the other buildings. So, all right, resolution's been made to.
Need a second.
Second.
I was going to say that. And then I was going to ask if everybody was in favor of it.
Aye.
Aye.
So Rach, you can go ahead with the sewer plant and get that taken care of. Okay. We all
Next.
okay with tabling the rest of it, though? I assume?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Next, we have a resolution for the Patterson Highway Salt Sand Storage Building to have where the town board wishes to conduct a coordinated environmental review of the project, and the seeker lead agency notice is in the resolution before us, so I'll make a motion for the town board to approve the resolution as read. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is a resolution authorizing submission of a state and municipal facilities program grant for the construction of the salt and sand mixing and storage shed. I'll make a motion that we approve this as read, as it relates to the grant in the amount of $150,000 and all the little bureaucratic stuff we have to do. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Make a motion if I could add something to my agenda here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have not one, but two nominees for the Veterans Hall of Fame.
One's already in, so Joe Morrissey was our first nominee, so
Okay.
it would be just Eric
Eric
Widoshinsky.
Widoshinsky. So I'll make a motion that the town board authorize the supervisor to submit the name of Eric Widoshinsky to Senator Greg Ball's office. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Next, I have a letter here from Alexander Contini from the American Veterans Historical Museum. Board of Trustees and membership of the American Veterans Historical Museum, thank you for the use of the town's recreation center for our annual presentation of the 42nd Infantry Division Band concert on August 2nd, 2014. The concert, as usual, was well received by the community, and the band members expressed their gratitude for the enthusiastic response to their musical talents. We look forward to the continued support from the town of Patterson. I'd like to mention that that night also, there were members of the recreation department there assisting in the overall event, and the museum received a significant number of donations in support of their mission. So I think it was a terrific night, always round. Thank you.
Okay, other business. Kevin?
Nope, nothing.
Charlie? I just want to personally thank Jeff Hamels from the MTA for orchestrating, organizing, and doing an excellent job on the replacement of the 311 crossing out here.
Oh, yeah.
This is such a huge improvement from what was out there. And I know Jeff didn't get a lot of support from the rest of the MTA. You would think the planning department and everybody else would, be the ones to interact with DOT and everything else, but basically Jeff did the MTA side of it virtually all by himself. So I just, from the town standpoint, they said they were going to close the road on Friday at midnight. That's exactly what they did. They said it would be reopened again Monday morning. It took them a little longer to get it paved and completed, but I thought they did a great job. I want to thank Russ and the Highway Department for the Emergency Services Road, because it did actually come into play over the weekend. There was need for use of that road for emergency traffic. So it's nice when a plan is executed, it all comes together, and turns out that we all did, everybody that was involved did a good job, and we were prepared. And, there's no real tragedies or anything else. I think the tag sale went okay. There was a lot, it's inconvenient for some people. The book sale, same thing, but I believe they, all in all, they got pulled off pretty well. And we have a beautiful new crossing that hopefully won't have any issues for 10, 15 years. And thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, I drove over today. It was a pleasure not to bottom out on the railroad tracks.
Actually,
How do we get one of those for 164 now? Not to be greedy, but
Well, I think they're working their way down the line, because there's a lot of complaining about the 312 one
Oh, really?
as
Yeah.
well in southeast. So I think they're going to be
Yeah.
slowly working their way down the line. They also did some improvements, and they're going to make them more permanent at the entrance to the environmental park, West Street.
All right.
So they did fix it up for the weekend so that the vehicles could get through there, and it worked out very well.
The old crossing was in effect a little bit of a speed bump, so it'll be interesting to see what happens now. We should certainly
Well,
be cautious.
When you pull out of town hall now, you can't count on people slowing down.
yeah.
So, just keep that in mind. And fortunately, there were no major incidents or accidents at 164, which was an area of concern. But
By the way, I also want to thank Russ for slowing down on Couch Road, because I almost got run over by traffic, but you stopped. The other guy didn't, so I just wanted to thank you very much, Russ.
right,
That was the
that's-
residual traffic from the.
Sean, you have any on business? B?
I just have one announcement on October 2nd at 10 a.m. in Carmel at the Senior Center in Carmel. So I know some of our seniors, I know we have a senior club in Patterson, but the county senior program for our area is in Carmel. So we are doing a Keeping Seniors Mobile program where it's we're teaching seniors how to stay mobile, how to we'll talk about distracted driving, and also we're starting a new program called Car Fit, where we're helping the seniors fit their vehicle, showing them how to adjust their mirrors, adjust their seats, adjust their steering wheels, and fit properly in their vehicle. So that will be, again, October 2nd at 10 a.m. at the Carmel Senior Center or in front on Old Route 6.
Okay, that's it?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to open the meeting up to public recognition, and so if any member of the public would like to be recognized at this time, please come up, give your name for the record.
Yeah, hi, my name is Frank Malizia. I'm a resident of Putnam Lake. Recently, I went to one of the meetings they had for the new park district, okay, and I had some questions for them there concerning putting up walkways, because, there's, now that you have a park district there, there's no sidewalk, no nothing. People are walking in the street, okay? The problem seems to be nobody obeys the speed limit, okay? I walk there every day with my dog, right? And I mean, they don't even move over. They're just about running you into the lake, okay? And it's a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, and being it's a park district now, and there's more people around the area, right, using the facility, I think maybe we should lower the speed limit and have a little heavier enforcement there.
Well, we can certainly ask the sheriff's department for increased enforcement.
Because I noticed that they put the sheriff's department put one of those radar things on one side of the lake, okay? To me, people are viewing this as, let me check my speedometer and see how fast I can go and make that thing move,
Right.
Nobody slows down. I mean, I got a guy that lives up the street from me, okay? Comes down the road. It's a dead-end road, okay? Comes down the road 60 miles an hour, blows through the stop sign, right? Now, there's kids that play on the road. I have neighbors up the street that tell me that they're afraid to let their kids out and play in the street. It's a dead-end street. Where are you going that you need to go 60 miles an hour? And I know when I spoke to the guy at the park district meeting, right? He said that they were planning to put in walkways, but it takes time, that they have to have surveyors out there, which I understand, which is, makes a lot of sense. That and the fact that they have no trash bins or anything else out there that, people can use for cleanup, so, I mean, what are you gonna do? People come out there, especially from out of town, they come in from Connecticut to go fishing or whatever, throw your garbage. There's no place to put it, so they're not going to take it home with them. And this is an issue there. The speed limit really does need to be lowered, and there has to be some type of enforcement there, because they put the sheriff and the trooper by the firehouse in town, in the middle of the town there, just to make sure that they don't run the stop sign there, or don't doesn't put a signal on. But meanwhile, once they pass that cop, they get a free ride. They're flying up and down the road over there.
So what road are you specifically talking about, or is it
Specifically, we're talking about the road that surrounds Lakeshore Drive, that surrounds the lake. This is where most of the activity goes on. You have your beaches there. You have your there's little grass areas over there where people can sit on a bench. I mean, they're doing a great job with the lake. They cleaned it up a lot. They keep the grass mowed. They try to keep it as clean as possible. But there's still this issue where people have nowhere when they walk. There's a lot of people early in the morning that come out and either jog or just walk around the lake for exercise, right? And these people are just flying down the road, and nobody yields to traffic. I mean, even if you're trying to cross the street, I mean, a lot of the towns now, they're putting up these little cross things, stop for pedestrians. I mean, this is a lake park, it's a park area now. It should be governed a little bit more.
is there any specific times that happens in the morning, afternoon, rush hour?
Usually, between the hours of like 7 and, I would say between 7 and 9
AM?
AM.
a.m. and then also p.m. too, because I do the walk in the afternoon, the late afternoon too. When people are coming home from work, it's just, I'm on a mission. I got to get home. Yeah, okay, but you're 5 minutes away from your house. What's the rush? What, are you going to run somebody over and kill somebody because you got 5 minutes to go? You had a bad day. Sorry.
As far as the speeding and traffic, we've had actually several complaints in the lake.
I would imagine.
There's two things. Number one, we have a neighborhood watch that we're having a neighborhood watch meeting tomorrow night actually at the Putnam Lake Fire Department, and
Yeah.
at 7 o'clock we have a deputy from the sheriff's office coming.
Oh,
and I told a lot of
fantastic.
residents that's something you want. It's not just burglaries and stuff. It's
Yeah, yeah,
quality of
yeah.
life and other issues. So encourage a lot of residents to bring that up.
So
And
this is tomorrow at the
tomorrow night, 7
firehouse.
o'clock at the Putnam Lake Firehouse.
At-
And then also, I'm also the Patterson representative on the Putnam Traffic Safety Board, so I was going to bring up some issues as well to the next Traffic Safety Board meeting, so I'll address that also. As far as crosswalks, crossings across the road, you can't really have a crosswalk unless you have sidewalks. You can't just have a crosswalk going it has to be from a sidewalk to a sidewalk.
I understand, but like I said, they told me they were planning to put walkways in around the lake so that people did have a place to walk, right? So they wouldn't have to be out in the road, but that's going to take time. But until we
money.
do this, we have to do something to slow these people down before someone actually gets hurt or killed.
What we've done in other places like South Street, you put stop signs, make three-way stop signs in some of these areas, and that, I know it's annoying and it can be a real pill, but we had a problem with everybody flying down South Street to get to school in the morning,
Right.
and the parents were nervous that their kids were going to get run over.
Yeah.
And you get people blowing in and late for work, got to throw the kid out of the SUV and go tearing down the road, and people will sit there, and while 30 miles an hour, unfortunately, except in school zones, is as low as the state allows you to, because the legislation is still pending in Albany to allow local municipalities to set their own speed limits. But it may be something that you might want to throw out there, that possibly around Lake Shore, where there might be some areas
Yeah.
where you would turn, like Hadley or Jackson or some of those, where you might turn some of them.
I mean,
not
I've
all
had
of
an
them.
instance where my wife was walking one of our dogs with my son and my daughter-in-law, and I don't know if you're familiar with the area of Allen Drive, right? But they were walking towards Jordan, and when you come down Jordan, it's kind of hard to see when you turn onto Allen Drive. Now, I know that there's a family on the corner, has a small child, right? Actually, on both corners, they have kids, and a lot of times these kids play down in the street, there's nowhere else for them to play. So, I mean, common sense tells you when you come down there, slow down, before you turn the corner, take a look. Make sure there's no kid there. Make sure nobody's standing there, right? But this woman turns the corner, right? Almost hits my wife, my dog, and my daughter-in-law. And when my daughter-in-law said something, she stops the car and says, "Well, wear brighter clothing." That's not an answer. The answer is slow down. There's no need. It's like I said, it goes from there, a stop sign, a dead-end street. Where are you going? And 9 times out of 10, they run the stop sign because nobody, Homer Drive is like, it's a slow area. So they just fly up to the stop sign, right through.
Well, we will, I'll send, my office will send a letter over to the Sheriff's Department asking for additional enforcement. And also, Pete will bring it up tomorrow night. And, I don't know find out what the community's thoughts are. There is a possibility for slowing people down is to make some of those lakeshore intersecting roads as three-way stops.
Okay.
So-
And this is tomorrow at 7 o'clock, you said?
Tomorrow, 7 o'clock at the Putnam Lake Firehouse.
Thank you. I'll see you there then.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Good evening, Bruce Major, 166 Somerset Drive, Patterson. Just a couple of things. Back in July, I raised the issue of the cost with the fire departments and the issue of whether or not nonprofits can be charged for fire services as they are charged for water and sewer. And Mike, you indicated that the town attorney was going to look into that.
Not you, the other attorney, huh?
If you give me the question,
Yeah, the question is I know that we don't do garbage pickup for like the group homes and things, but if you did provide services for them, you are entitled to collect taxes for those particular services. You can't just charge them in general. But the question was raised that if, seeing that we provide fire and ambulance services for them, can we submit a bill to the state or whomever owns the property that we are providing these particular services to you, and can you in fact bill them for that?
okay.
Because I know if we pick up their garbage, we can bill them.
Sure.
And if you are providing fire services, is that also a billable
Event.
scenario?
Okay. The other thing is the environmental park. I raised the issue of
Right.
considering possibly transferring that to state DEC,
Yeah,
where they would then start paying taxes. And if in the future you could put a deed restriction in, if you were going to do it, a deed restriction that said at any point in time the state of New York determines they're no longer going to pay, town, county, and school taxes, that the property would have to be diverted back to the town.
Well, I discussed it a little bit with the assessor, and the amount of money that we're talking about is so inconsequential. My personal opinion is I wouldn't want to give up control of the property for a couple of $100 to the state of New York, because they open it up to everybody and anybody. And what happens then is you can have hunters from New York City all over the place, and we have no ability to enforce anything down there because now it's a state park. They decide what the rules are.
Okay, but you also talked about you could also start charging fees, and you haven't done that either.
No, we could. There's a lot of back and forth between different segments of the town employees, the code enforcement and parks department. Have a running debate over signage, over fees, over access, over a lot of things. So at some point, the board can seriously consider whether they want to charge fees. To date, the costs to the town are minimal because Rick Saracelli is our environmental parks caretaker, and total cost to the town is probably about $2,500 a year. Russ has been very good about going down there when the road needs improvement or something and just putting a machine and a little bit of material on site. So the actual cost, what it's costing us to maintain that is right now is negligible.
Yeah, but there was conversation about outside groups coming in, these larger groups using the facility. We're looking to charge Park to use one of our facilities. All I'm suggesting is it's something you may want to look at.
Okay.
Mike, do we know that we're not charging the not-for-profits for our special district tax for the fire department?
Yeah, I don't believe we're sending out any bills, but I'll double check on that.
You sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know, I'll ask. I mean, I'm not aware whether we are or we aren't. Mary, do you get
I'd have to look.
remission and people for stuff from the state for?
You may not even be able to. I'm just saying.
No, I think quite the contrary. I think we have the ability to bill for fire and police. That I believe those are the things that not-for-profits are not exempt from.
Right. And if I understand it, the services, if you provide specific services, you can charge for those services.
Yeah, the water, sewer, these are ad valorem taxes. They're different than general taxation. But I'm just questioning whether or not, are you just assuming we're not doing it, or you know already?
No, I asked the question because I don't know if it's being done now. I don't believe it is.
Okay.
And the reason why I raised that question is in the current budget, we're seeing substantially above the 2% cap that the governor likes to talk about. We're seeing over 6% and I believe over 3%. And all I'm suggesting is, that even nonprofits,
Yeah, no,
they're
I get
getting
it.
services.
Yeah,
and-
I just didn't know.
and
if it
I
was-
just
we were
thought
just
that
operating on the
if
assumption
we would
already.
charge them for
mentioned
other
the bill,
services,
what was it?
water and sewer, is this a service that is billable? If it is, fine. If not, we could do something else. Next, I'd like to talk about Rich's hours. I understand you had two sets of hours. One is work that he did for the East of Hudson, and the other is really for the town. I would imagine the stuff for the town, you're not going to get reimbursed. I don't believe the other towns were reimbursed for that. But certainly the work that he did for the East of Hudson Corporation. What I'd like you to also do is try to make a determination of those hours, what hours did he perform during his standard work week, and what hours were performed outside of that. If he performed hours outside of that, I think he should be getting a check for those, for payment for that through the town. Okay, so in other words, if Rich is working 70 hours a week, his normal work hour, work week, I should say work hours, probably work hour for him too, and all of a sudden he was doing 90 hours, well, those 20 hours, he should be compensated out of that money. That's all that I'm suggesting.
Well, there goes our 2% tax cap.
So be it. Well, all it is 2 votes for you fellas.
If he's doing the work for East of Hudson should pay him.
Well, I don't care how it happens. Look at it this way. Our assessor's doing work for Pauling, and you're paying him because they're giving you a check, and then your check is going out to him.
Exactly. Different story.
Yes, it is a different story.
Niagara.
Mike, you complimented the MTA. That's great on TV. It might be nice to send a letter, to whoever his boss is, a letter from the town basically saying, hey, we're really appreciative of the fine work he did. And I agree with you. They did a beautiful job out there.
Well, they certainly had enough guys.
About the train whistles.
Well, let's not complain about the number of guys now, I mean.
The other day when I left town hall.
Huh?
Monday I left town hall and they were working out there. I had counted 19 guys.
And there was 9 pieces of equipment and 2 cops.
2 cops, yeah.
And they were finishing up, so,
They did a beautiful job. It is an incredible improvement to what was out there, and I know Jeff, and I know how hard he worked and how little support he got from the MTA to pull this off.
Then
So,
I think doubly that a letter should go out.
That's a very good idea.
Okay, and then the next thing is on my FOIL request. Mike, I'd like you to answer this question if possible. Early on, I submitted a FOIL request for the legal opinions in which the town attorney on 2 different occasions submitted to the state for legal opinions as it related to Putnam Lake. I have copies that the town provided me of both the requests and the responses back to the town board. Could you explain why this new request, basically for the same issue, I'm not getting?
All I can say at this point is the opinion of the town attorney was that their standard position is this is attorney-client privilege, and that a blanket policy of we don't share attorney-client privilege work.
Well, that may be their opinion. You pay them, okay?
Well,
we actually
if
elect you to do the bidding of the people. We have a situation where their opinion is basically saying that a class of people are going to have to be spending money for something. And yet, it was okay back in the 70s to say, yeah, it's okay to give it out to the public, to let the public know what that legal opinion is. But in this case, we're not going to let it out. And so what I'd like to really know is, from each member of the town board, what is your opinion as to whether or not the public has a right to that information? Kevin?
Top of my head, I'd say no, that it's attorney. My gut reaction would be that it's an opinion offered by council to a government board, and I would say that that's something that wouldn't be subject to a FOIL request.
Charlie?
I respectfully disagree with Kevin, although I know where he's coming from. Only on the grounds that that subject matter was discussed twice in open meetings here, and basically stated what was in that memo from council to us. And I personally thought that took the, for lack of a better word, confidentiality off of the document, since we discussed it twice. That's all.
Okay. Mike?
I personally don't have a problem. You know, there's certain things, the things we're going to an executive session for have to do with personnel and disciplinary actions. Those things I absolutely would not share their opinions with you on.
Nor should you.
This particular item, I don't see it as an issue at all. I mean, there's no reason why the public shouldn't be aware of why they are being billed for Putnam Lake Dam when they don't live anywhere near Putnam Lake. I personally don't have a problem with releasing it, and if the majority of the board's opinion is the same, and I also think, and Charlie's point is well taken, that you know, in terms of confidentiality, this has already been discussed in open session. There's no confidentiality left.
Sean?
Well, because I'm new to the board and I wasn't part of those discussions, my response would be to defer to council's opinion, especially for things that I'm not fully aware of. But it sounds like, because this was discussed, that it sounds like something that bears, releasing information. But since I don't have all the information, I would say there might be parts of that may need to be redacted. So there's always parts of correspondence that have to be redacted in certain instances. So that's the way I would proceed on that.
And Peter?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Charlie too, but I don't know, I would have to look at it again to see if there's anything that shouldn't be released to the public, but we did discuss it twice.
I don't understand why. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but why are we voting, or why would we vote on what we're releasing in a FOIL request? If council says it's foilable and we should disclose it, we go by their opinion. If they don't, we don't. I don't know that it's something that the town board votes on. We don't vote on FOIL requests. It's not like we got a FOIL request and say, we'll give them this, we won't give them this. It's what our council says we should disclose. And if they're saying don't disclose it, whether, you know.
It came across to me as just a blanket opinion that no attorney-client work should be released to the public. I disagree with that. I mean, one of the things that 20 odd years ago when I ran for office, one of the things that we talked about is the prior town board did a work session and then did a general meeting. At the work session, the public wasn't allowed to speak. No input was taken.
Mm-hmm.
They would discuss, debate, go back and forth, and you'd sit in a chair and you'd be jumping up going, ooh, I want to say something. And they would say, we don't take public input. And then at the next meeting, they'd sit there and go, okay, we have a resolution. I move the resolution is read, and you still didn't get a chance to talk about anything. The only time that you were ever allowed to talk at a town board meeting was at a public hearing. And I said, if I get elected, I am absolutely changing that policy. There's no way in the world that we are going to gag the public, regardless of who they are or how big a pain in the butt they turn out to be. And I'm not referring to you, Bruce.
I appreciate the compliment.
The fact of the matter is this, to me, they paid for this opinion. I don't see anything in this particular opinion that would be top secret, that would be detrimental if the public knew what was in it. It basically, all it said is that there's good reason for it to be a general fund charge. There's a discussion back and forth as to why it could or couldn't be, but the final opinion of the attorney was it's for the good of the general public, so therefore the general funds can be spent on it. Please go back and read it and familiarize yourself with it, but I don't think there's anything in that opinion that would turn the world upside down if we gave it out. I really don't. And other than personnel issues and contract negotiations and those types of things, I don't think there's a lot that you really technically can or should keep from the public.
So if we have a potential litigant who's going to sue the town and we ask our counsel for an opinion as to an analysis of what their potential causes of action are and what their case is about, and they provide that to us in a legal opinion, we should release that then when the plaintiff foils for that, so they know what our defenses are going to be?
No, that's
exactly what that's exactly what we're saying. We're saying, unless it's a personnel manual. There's plenty of cases where
I have no intentions on suing.
There's plenty of cases where you need to go to legal counsel and have confidentiality. So I just think it's a dangerous precedent to be saying, this one was okay, we'll release this one.
Let me just explain.
I don't think you can go A, B, C. We do it here. We don't do it here. You either.
I think the point, at least my point, is that even after Mike has made his comments tonight, this is the third night now that this thing has been discussed.
I mean, if you
Okay?
say we waived it,
And I took that whatever that phraseology was about, this is, from lawyer to client or whatever it was that headed up the memo, that sort of came off the page when we discussed it openly. There was not, so what's the difference? You can go back to the minutes, okay, or the tapes, or the TV discs and what have you, and see that stuff. Or just give the memo and say, look, this doesn't apply anymore. I understand where you're coming from. We shouldn't just open a kimono and say, yeah, release
Right, so
everything.
now-
But on this specific one,
right, so
it's
now...
no longer confidential.
So then how do you defend against the FOIL request 6 months from now when it does involve more sensitive information, and they say, well, in the past you've disclosed these, so you set a precedent of disclosing these, what basis are you going to
Well,
have
I
to
don't
hold them
think
back?
we're going to disclose that.
I'm just saying...
Well, I guess if we feel there's confidential information that we can't disclose, then.
Well, that's why I don't think you can say yes here, no here, but...
See, I think Kevin
I'm one
brings up
vote
a
on
lot
the
of-
I'm one vote on the board.
But
So you
Kevin-
guys want to vote and release it? Go
Kevin, I
give it to
appreciate
Bruce.
you putting that input in because it gives perspective, and certainly as a lawyer and getting counsel's opinion matters. While this case might be unique in that the information isn't that sensitive, the precedent is certainly concerning.
It was an opinion.
The fact of the matter too is every FOIL request is unique, and you have certain grounds on which to deny a FOIL request. If it's confidentiality because it's potential litigation, contract negotiations, or sensitive personnel issues, you have the right to deny that. As far as a legal opinion on a question that a town resident raised in the first place, I mean, and then to tell them, no, I'm sorry, we're not going to give you their opinion, is almost ludicrous. I mean, Bruce asked the question and raised the issue, why is this being done? And he says, that's a really good question. Let's get an opinion from the attorney. Can we do it, or should we do it, or are we legally allowed to do it? And the town attorney's opinion came back, and the man asked for a follow-up on his question.
And we provided a response at the meeting. We answered his question. Which we did. So he's got it, and now he's asking for something beyond that. In other words, we did our due diligence. We asked the attorney's opinion. He gave it to us. We answered the resident's question based on counsel's advice. Now we're turning over counsel's advice to us. We answered the question.
I could never figure out why it was labeled that just for non-disclosure.
Rich, you wanna-
Yeah, can I just offer an opinion from a lowly resident? Public officers law clearly articulates those areas where the town board can legally go into executive session. They're sensitive areas. Those are the areas really that attorney-client privilege, in my opinion, should apply in any documents related to those areas where you would otherwise go into an executive session, land acquisition, an existing lawsuit, not a potential for a lawsuit, and personnel issues. Those are the areas attorney-client privilege should hold, and those legal documents should not be released. Any other legal opinions should be released. I ran into this with the planning board where we hired an attorney who actually said that his opinion on whether a use was pre-existing non-conforming was attorney-client privilege and we shouldn't release it to the applicant. I released it anyway because it can't hold. You can't, the public has a right to know how their government is operating and under what rules. And that's why I've always gone by that executive privilege with executive session material. Just my opinion.
That's a good point. I agree with him 100%. It's government's job to be transparent to their constituents. Okay, when you do things like that and you try to hold things back from the public, okay, just means one thing: you got something to hide.
We shouldn't have
Okay,
been doing it in
and
the
if you have
first place.
something to hide, okay, then we have a problem with the government. This is why people don't trust the government.
And just a final thought, if you remember when I raised this issue, it was because you were about to spend money after the Park District was created.
Right.
And you already had legal opinions that basically said you couldn't do it. And my position was, I think you got to get a new opinion, okay? And if that new opinion says you can spend, yes, then if not, then the people in the Park District would be on the hook. And that's the reason why I raised it. And I think, and clearly that night, at the end of that night, everybody agreed that I should get it. And Mike, you said, you can have it tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, I was busy the next couple of days. Council did not object that night either. Okay? So you're going into executive session. I'll wait to hear from you folks. And thanks for the time.
I'm not going to discuss this in executive session. We've discussed it enough here now.
This is not executive session privilege, to be honest
No.
with you. Is there any other member of the public that would like to be recognized at this time? Okay, then, motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go in executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.